Every year, every week when we meet, which we've been doing since October, and the children have chosen their favorite folk tales or fairy tales to share, we always begin class with a storyteller's pledge. And they love doing it, and it's a really nice way to get everybody ready to enjoy. So I've asked two of my storytellers who were with me last year and are here again, I'm going to miss them greatly next year, to come up and say the pledge tonight. Delaney Gogan and Amelia Britt, please come on up.
As a storyteller and story listener, I give myself permission to have fun, laugh, take risks, make mistakes, tell stories. I know stories connect us, and I am connected to the story.
Let the stories begin!
Nicely done. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know me, I should introduce myself. My name is Karen Chase. I am also a storyteller, so I always tell the children, I'm not asking you to do anything I don't do. So we always have some great fun asking questions about what it's like, to be on stage in different places. And, have I ever, had a problem with a story? And of course I have. And I share all those things with them so they know that they're not alone. It's an evening of entertainment tonight, but it's so much more. As I said, they've chosen their stories. This is what we call the art of oral tradition, and it has been around for centuries. Storytellers used to hold a very important place in the courts of kings and queens centuries ago. It really was something wonderful to behold, and these stories that they're telling tonight have been passed down for generations. I like to tell them that, we think that Cinderella is a Disney story. But actually, there are well over 500 versions of Cinderella from around the world. One of the oldest is 2,000 years old, and it hails from China. So they are all part of a long line of storytellers. And in the process, too, in learning about different cultures and diversity and stories, it's a sneaky way to get them to learn about public speaking. Because we all know how difficult it is to be up on stage. Some have an easier time of it, some don't. So this is a great way to introduce them to this. I came across a funny little story the other day that I had shared years ago on my Facebook page, and I was talking about stage fright with my class, and at the beginning, and I asked, how many of you have stage fright? And one boy raised his hand, and he had been with me for 3 years at that point, and he said, I used to have stage fright, but you fixed me. And I said, no, you actually fixed yourself. So the other thing I love about this program the most is the way the students all support each other. They are so wonderful and respectful and caring. I teach them how to do peer coaching, so they're always ready to kindly share suggestions and, of course, compliments when we're practicing in class. This school here is so supportive. Diane Zapiga, who is head of the programs for Community Rec, she is wonderful, and I couldn't do this without her. Lisa Pacheco, who's head of the Fore and Aft program, allows me to bring in the students here to do a first practice performance, and the teachers give up some of their curriculum time to allow the students to tell in front of their peers here. So it's all in preparation for tonight, because I don't want their first time telling to be on stage in front of you. And Dr. Sullivan, she is such a strong supporter of this program and planned on being here tonight. Unfortunately, something came up and she couldn't, but she sends her best wishes to you, students. She knows you'll do a wonderful job. She did see them in performance this week. Now, we've already done our pledge. Oh, and I can't forget to thank the local Cultural Council of Freetown. They are strong supporters of this program as well. So as Delaney and Amelia said, let the stories begin. Our first storyteller to open up the festival tonight is with me for his second year. Rocco is one of my quieter students, so I was very surprised when we came back from the holiday break this year, and he proudly shared that he had decided to tell his story in the talent contest at his karate group. And he said they loved it. I'm sure they did. This year, he has chosen a cumulative folktale, which is one of the most difficult types of stories to tell, and he does a fantastic job. Please welcome Rocco Aponte sharing a folktale from China.
Hello, my name is Rocco Aponte, and I'll be telling you the story of the extraordinary cat. Once there was a Chinese ruler who had a cat that he thought it was so extraordinary that he named it after the great big sky. One day, soon after he named it though, an advisor from the court spoke out to him and said, "Sir, I think your cat's name is too weak, and I think it needs to be more extraordinary." So, the ruler asked, "Well, what should I change it to?" And the advisor said, "I think that you should change it to wind, because it can blow the clouds about. Cloud, because it can darken and hide the sky from view." 1 week later, the ruler's wife said to him, "I think that our cat's name, is not powerful, extraordinary enough." So the ruler asked, "Well, what should I change it to?" And his wife said, "I think you should change it to wind, because it can blow the clouds about." 1 month later, the ruler's brother came for a visit. He agreed that the ruler's cat was a superb creature, but there was only one flaw with the cat, and that was its name. It was not extraordinary or powerful enough. So the ruler asked once again, "Well, what should I change it to?" And his brother said, "I think you should change it to wall, because it can stop the wind in its tracks." 2 weeks later, the royal gardener went up to the ruler and said, "Sir, I think that your cat's name is not powerful enough. It's too weak. It needs to be more extraordinary." So the ruler said, "Well, what should I change it to?" And the royal gardener said, "I think you should change it to the mouse, because it can nibble through the concrete of the wall." The ruler agreed, and he changed his cat's name from wall to mouse. 13 days later, the ruler's children were running in the yard, and when they heard their father call the cat Mouse, they started rolling on the ground and laughing. And the ruler heard this, so he went over to them and asked, "Children, what makes you laugh?" And they said, "Well, Papa, it's your cat's name. It's not extraordinary or powerful enough." And the ruler said, "Well, what should I change it to?" And his children said, "We think you should change it to cat, because you can catch the mouse." And in that moment, the ruler realized that his own children were smarter than any of his advisors, and he could finally give the cat the name it deserves, and that is cat.
What a wonderful job, Rocco. Thank you. As I said, that's one of the most difficult stories to tell, because one thing depends on the other, and he really did a wonderful job. Thank you, Rocco. My next storyteller has been with me for 2 years. And last year, she told with a partner in tandem, but this year she chose a solo performance. Her warm smile and helpful personality always makes it a pleasure to have her in class. She is a mature, confident storyteller. Please welcome Delaney Gogan, sharing a pourquoi story from Portugal.
Hi, I am Delaney Gogan, and I will be telling the story Why Dogs Snip. So, once upon a time, the dogs threw a dinner party. All the dogs were invited, and all the dogs accepted the invitation. There were black dogs and white dogs and brown dogs and gray dogs and brown dogs and spotted dogs. There were dogs with long tails, dogs with short tails, dogs with short pointy ears, and dogs with flat drooping ears. There were dogs with long noses and dogs with fat turnip noses. The party was by the sea, so the food was spread about upon the rocks. And there was a gentle breeze blowing, and everything seemed perfect. But there was a cross, fussy old dog at the dinner party, and they say nothing ever suited her. Either the cold things were too cold or not cold enough, or the hot things were too hot or not hot enough. She always found a fault at the dinner party, but at this dinner party, everything was perfect. And she overheard a conversation with 2 other dogs. How everything tastes good, remarked a bigger dog. How everything is seasoned exactly, said a smaller white dog. At that moment, she realized that the big juicy bone she was eating had not been seasoned with pepper. So she said, "Will somebody please pass the pepper?" All the black dogs and white dogs and gray dogs and yellow dogs and brown dogs and spotted dogs fell over each other trying to find the pepper to pass. There wasn't a single bit of pepper at the party. So she said, "I won't eat a single bite of food until I have pepper." And then one dog volunteered to go get some pepper, but nobody ever knew who it was. So the dog that went to go get the pepper never came back. So whenever 2 dogs meet each other, they always sniff, just so one might just happen to be the dog that went into the city to get some pepper, because he would surely smell of pepper.
Lovely Delaney. I'm always going to remember that story whenever I see dogs sniffing each other. My next storyteller. I was so delighted when she came back this year. She actually told in tandem with Delaney last year. And this year when she came in, she said, "No, I'm going to try solo." I was so surprised and so delighted. She chose a rather long, beautiful folktale to share. And on her own, she edited it all down. She did a fabulous job to get it ready for the stage, adding her own special details to bring it to life. Please welcome Amelia Brick sharing a folktale from Cambodia.
Hi, my name is Amelia, and today I'm going to be telling the story of Princess Amarli. A long time ago in Cambodia, there lived a young princess named Amarli. Now, there were 4 very old but very grand ministers who wanted to marry her, but she refused their proposals and chose instead to marry a fine young man named Mahose. The ministers were very angry about this, for they wanted Amarli's jewels and riches. So they went up to the king to tell him that Mahose was disloyal and plotting to steal the throne. The gentle king, who loved his daughter and her husband, urged them to be careful before making such charges. But this only made the ministers more determined. So they went to the king again to tell him that Mahose was disloyal, and this time their lies and false proofs were so convincing that the king believed them, and they banished Mahose from the spot. 2 weeks after this banishment, one of the ministers came knocking on Amarli's door. And when she answered, he said that he loved her and he asked her to marry him. Amardavi listened politely and said, "Yes, I am quite lonely. Perhaps if you wish to discuss it with me, see me at 7 o'clock this evening." The minister bowed and bowed, promising to return at the appointed time. Amardavi was surprised by the visits of the other 3 ministers, each professing their love and begging her to marry them. She told the second minister to come at 8, the third minister to come at 9, and the fourth minister to come at 10. After the ministers left, Amardavi gathered her servants and instructed them to dig a deep pit and fill it with mud, rice, and water. She then instructed them to build a trapdoor on top of the pit, to tie a rope to the pit, and to put some fabric on top of the pit to look like the carpeting of her floor. Then she sent for her personal maid and asked her to spread some royal jewels on the parlor table that was next to the trapdoor pit thing. And she told the maid, "When each minister comes, bring them to the parlor room and then come to me." At 7 o'clock, the first minister came knocking, and the maid led him into the parlor room and then slipped behind the curtain where Amardavi was waiting. The minister paced and paced, and when he thought nobody was looking, he grabbed a royal jewel from the table and stuffed it into his pocket. But Amardavi and the maid saw, and they yanked on the rope that was attached to the trapdoor and sent the minister flying into the pit. The same thing happened with the other 3 ministers, each grabbing a jewel and each falling into the pit. Amardavi kept the trapdoor tightly sealed all night, and the next morning she led the ministers to the throne room where the king was waiting. She told the king, "Your Majesty, I would like to prove the disloyalty of these 4 grand ministers." The king nodded and beckoned for her to continue. "I refused these men's proposals because I knew that they were only trying to take our royal jewels." Then she beckoned to her maid, and the maid put a hand in each minister's pocket and pulled out a royal jewel. The king was furious and ordered the ministers to be tied to elephants to roam around the kingdom for all to see. Then he ordered Mahoseth out of exile, and Mahoseth speedily returned home to his loving and clever wife, Princess Amardavi.
Lovely, Amelia. Thank you so much. Women are always so clever, and it is, Women's History Month, so that's perfect. Our next storyteller is a 4th grader with me for her first year, and she is a little bundle of energy and always has a smile on her face. When I told her grandmother that she was a lot of fun to have in class, she told me, "Well, Nadia thinks you're a lot of fun too." So I think that's a huge compliment from a 4th grader. Nadia does an amazing job bringing this Japanese folktale to life. Please welcome Nadia Inc.
Hello, my name is Nadia Ink, and I will be telling the story of the 2 foolish cats. A long time ago in Japan, 2 cats were friends, a big cat and a little cat. One morning, they ate on the wonderfully fresh rice cake. When they compared the cakes, though, they found out that the little cat had a big cake and that the big cat had a small cake. So the big cat pouted. "I am bigger. I should have the big cake." But the little cat growled and showed his teeth. "No, I am smaller. I should have the big cake. I should have the big cake because I need more food to grow." They argued and fussed and finally decided to go see Monkey. He would solve their problems. When they got there, they found him sitting on a branch with a golden scale and a red hat. When they explained their argument to Monkey, he smiled.
I shall put an end to it. So he put both of the cakes on one side of the scale. When, of course, the scale wasn't equal because the big cake was heavier. So he took the big cake, took a bite out of it, and put it back onto the scale. But guess what happened? He took too big of a bite! So now the small cake was heavier. So he took the small cake, took a bite out of it, and put it back onto the scale. But now the big cake was heavier again. The big cat said sternly, "Excuse me, sir, I think that's enough. They are very even." The widow cat agreed. Yes, that is enough. You don't need to eat anymore. But Monkey ate both of the cakes until they were all gone. After that, they left and went slinking down the road feeling foolish, hungry, and would you believe, tired of arguing? In fact, they never argued again. The end.
I told you, a little bundle of energy. Thank you, Nadia. Well done, well done. We had a little bit change in the lineup, so let me get to the correct. Okay, so our next storyteller is taking the stage for her second year. She is always ready to put her best foot forward, a storyteller who takes her work seriously without forgetting about the fun. Please welcome Aubrey Venuti as she shares a Noodlehead story from the United States.
I'm Aubrey Venuti, and today I will be telling you the story of Whose Horse Is It. One day there were two noodleheads who loved to go horseback riding together. They did have one problem. They had an awful time telling their horses apart. So one day, one of the noodleheads decided it would be a great idea to cut off one of the horses' tails, and that worked fine. And then 3 days later, the other horse got his tail stuck in the fence, so they were right back where they started. So then, a couple of days later, they decided to cut one of the other horse's mane so they could tell the difference. And that worked fine for a couple of days. But then it eventually grew back. So then they were right back where they started. So right as they were about to give up, they both came up with the brilliant idea to measure their horses in their size. So they found out that the black horse with white spots was 3 inches taller than the white horse. So then they never had time telling their horses apart.
I love that silly story. Thank you, Aubrey. Thank you. Our next storytellers are a tandem team. They're telling the story together, which is very hard to do, right? The students like to, work together on a story, which is fabulous, but it does require, additional work and additional practice, and they put in the work. They're the first tandem team coming up tonight, and from the very beginning, these two young ladies got along so well together. They dove right into the story they selected and have proven to be excellent storytellers. They always take the stage with confidence. Please welcome Althea Bogle and Aubrey Sawyer sharing a folktale from Ukraine.
Hello, I'm Aubrey Sawyer,
And I'm Althea Vogel.
and we're going to be telling the story of the fussy mouse. There once was a fussy mouse. She was very hard to please. Everything had to be just right to make her happy.
One day she found a bright silky red bow, tied around her neck and thought, now I'll find the perfect husband.
Donkey passed by and asked, hee-haw, hee-haw, Miss Mouse, will you marry me?
The fussy mouse turned up her nose and replied, me? Marry you? That'll never do. You're much too smelly. I must find the perfect husband.
Bear passed by and asked, girl, Miss Mouse, will you marry me?
Once again, the fussy mouse turned up her nose and replied, me? Marry you? That'll never do. You're much too hairy. I must find the perfect husband.
Frog passed by and asked, Ribbit, Miss Mouse, will you marry me?
For the last time, the fussy mouse turned up her nose and replied, me? Marry you? That'll never do. You're much too green. I must find the perfect husband.
Cat had been watching. He cleaned himself up and put on his finest suit. Early the next morning, he strutted over to Miss Mouse's house and asked, Purr, Miss Mouse, will you marry me?
Me? Marry you? But of course, yes, you are the perfect husband.
They got married that very morning.
When it was time for lunch, the fussy mouse asked, how about some vegetable soup?
Cat turned up his nose and replied, no, I'm not in the mood for vegetable soup.
Well then, what are you in the mood for? I'll make your favorite dish.
There's no need to go any trouble, dear. I'm not fussy at all. Cat licked his lips and moved closer. I'm in the mood for you.
And with that, the cat pounced on the mouse. Into his belly she went, red bow and all.
I love the additions they make when they're working on a story like that, cat purr, that's all them. They do that. Wonderful job, ladies. Wonderful. Now, closing out the first half of our festival, don't forget, we're going to have intermission and then come back for more stories, are two more tandem tellers. One of them is a 4th grade teller and one of them is a 5th grade teller who's with me for her 2nd year. They are a very spirited tandem team. And they are lively, focused, and energetic. I have no doubt they will bring that energy to the stage tonight. Please welcome Alexis Allard and Sienna Johnson sharing a suspenseful folktale from the United States.
Oh my god, there's so many people. Hi everyone, I'm Alexis Allard.
And I'm Sienna Johnson.
And this is the story of the hairy toad.
Dun dun dun. Once there was an old woman who went out to the woods to find some roots to cook for dinner. Then she spotted something funny sticking out of the leaves, and when she uncovered it, there was a great big hairy toe. There was some good meat on that toe, so she put it in her basket and took it home.
When she got back to her cottage, the old woman boiled up a kettle full of hairy toe soup, which she ate for dinner that night. It was the best meal she'd had in weeks. She went to bed that night with a full stomach and a happy smile.
Along midnight, when there was a cold wind over the tops of the trees and a rumble voice in the garden that said, hairy toe, I want my hairy toe. The old woman shivered in her bed, but still fast asleep.
And then, outside of her house, you could hear some sort of stomping noise, and a voice that said, hairy toe, I want my hairy toe. The old woman pulled the covers over her ears.
And then she went downstairs and barricaded her door. When she felt a little more safe, she went back to sleep.
And then the door burst open with parts of the door flying everywhere. And then she could hear the stomping noise coming up the stairs. And a big black figure filling the doorway. And and it said, hairy toe, I want my hairy toe. She rolled straight up and said, I ate your hairy toe! then the monster rumbled, yes you did. And then the woman was never seen again. The only sign to her disappearance was a footprint the neighbor found that was missing a left big toe.
They don't like the stage very much. Ladies, that was an excellent way to close out the first part of the festival. Thank you so much. We'll be seeing them on movies one day, I'm sure. So as I said, we're going to take a little break. We're going to have some refreshments. Storytellers, quietly, carefully make your way back. Okay, storytellers, are we ready for our second half? Great. Thank you. Okay. Opening the second half of our festival are two returning storytellers. Last year they told in tandem and are together again this year. Jacob is always the first one to ask if he can help me during class. And right after they chose their story, Landon was already thinking about how he would exit the stage when he was done. What kind of bow would he make? They are always trying out new things to make their story shine. Please welcome Jacob Alexander and Landon Pereira sharing a folktale from Kenya.
I'm Jacob Alexander.
I'm Landon Pereira.
Today we're going to be telling the story of
The monster inside Hare's house.
One day, Hare was walking down to his house and he heard a loud boom come from the cave. And then he asked,
Who's in my house?
and then a voice boomed and said,
I am a fearsome monster, a beast beyond compare. I eat lions for lunch and rhinos for supper. Come get me if you dare.
Hare needed backup, so he saw a leopard walking on the path and he saw Jackal walking down the path and he asked Jackal,
Jackal, can you please help me get this monster outside my house?
Jackal's response was,
Of course I'll help you, Hare. I'll help this monster get out of your house.
both of their friends walked down to Hare's house and Jackal said,
Who's bothering my friend Hare?
and once again the voice boomed and said,
But this time I want you guys to do it with us. I am a fearsome monster, a beast beyond compare. I eat lions for lunch and rhinos for supper. Come get me if you dare.
Jackal ran so fast that he ran as fast as Usain Bolt when he left the area. Hare had another hope. He saw Leopard running down the path and asked,
Hey Leopard, can you please help me get this monster outside my house?
Leopard's response was,
Of course I'll help you, Hare. At least I don't lose my spots this time.
both of the friends walked down to Hare's house and Leopard said,
Who's bothering my friend Hare?
and once again the voice boomed and said,
I am a fearsome monster, a beast beyond compare. I eat lions for lunch and rhinos for supper. Come get me if you dare.
When Leopard ran away, his spots fell off when he was running. Hare had one last hope. He saw a lion walking on the path in the jungle and asked,
Lion, can you please help me? You're the most fearsome one in the jungle. Leopard couldn't do it. He lost his spots off. Sadly.
Lion responded as,
Of course I'll help you, Hare. Roar!
both of the animals walked down to Hare's house. And did I forget to mention his house is a cave?
Lion's response was, "Who's bothering my friend Hare?" And then once again the voice boomed and said, "I am a fearsome monster, a beast beyond compare. I eat lions for lunch and rhinos for supper. Come get me if you dare." When Lion was running away, he said, "I don't want to get eaten." Frog saw Hare crying in front of his house, and he asked, "What's the matter, Hare?" Hare's response was, "Well, there's this monster inside my house, even the fiercest one in the jungle, and leopard and lion. Lion couldn't even get him out of my house. Leopard and jackal couldn't even either." Frog said, "Well, I can help you get this monster outside your house." Frog looked inside the cave of where Hare's house was, and he said, "Monster, come out wherever you are inside Hare's house." And then once again the voice boomed and said, "I am a fearsome monster, a beast beyond compare. I eat lions for lunch and rhinos for supper. Come get me if you dare." And then Frog looked inside the cave once again and said, "Well, you met your match, monster, for I am the Green Leaper. Come get me if you dare." Then a cute little caterpillar slithered out the cave and said, "Please don't eat me, Frog." The boom of the voice made me sound big and strong. "Please don't eat me. Please don't." Frog's response was, "Then get out." The caterpillar slithered away from the area again. And the myth still has it, he still slithers to this day. The end.
They're always trying something new. And you know, the night of the festival, they always surprise me. I don't think I heard before that leopard lost his spots. That was kind of like in the moment. I loved it. Thank you, gentlemen. Nicely done, nicely done. And I will say, you know, Landon was a little late tonight because he was at karate school and he passed and got how many more stripes? 3 more stripes. Great job. And he made it here tonight, too. Our next storyteller is with me for his first year. And every year when we begin, I always ask the students, what made you decide to join the storytelling club? And there's all kinds of different answers. Sometimes, you know, one of them said, I thought there were going to be donuts, you know, or my brother did it before. There's all kinds of reasons, but Keen told me, because I am a comedian. That's what he said. And true to form, he chose a noodlehead story tonight. He always adds a lot of fun to our time together. Please welcome Keen O'Connor sharing a story from Denmark.
Hello, my name is Cian O'Connell, and I'll be telling the story, The Boy Who Sold the Bottle. There once was a woman who had a noodlehead for a son. When he helped with the chores on the farm, he usually made a mess of things, so she found it easier to do most of the work herself. One morning, she churned a big pot of sweet butter that she planned to sell to town. Her son begged, Mother, please let me bring the butter to town to sell. No, says the mother, you've never been to town. Stay home and keep the cow company. But he pleaded with her for so long that she finally agreed. She gave him some advice on how to sell the butter, and off he went. He followed the road just as his mother had told him. Then he found a farm with a cow, After what seemed like a very long time, he came upon an enormous rock and thought to himself, "My mother said the town was big. This certainly is big. It must be the town." So he said to the rock, "Town, would you like to buy some of my mother's butter?" The rock, of course, didn't answer. It was a rock after all. This didn't stop the boy. He went right on talking. He was a noodlehead after all. "Oh, my mother has told me about people like you. You won't buy something until you try it. No problem. Here's a sample for you." With that, the boy smeared a little bit of butter on the rock. Since it was a hot day, it wasn't long before the sun melted the butter. "Oh," said the noodlehead, "I can tell by how quickly you ate it. You love my mother's butter. Guess that means you'd like to buy the rest of it? Well, I'd be glad to sell it to you." With that, he smeared the rest of the butter on the rock, and it quickly melted. "Now, town, if you'll just pay me for the butter, I'll be on my way." With the rock, of course, didn't answer. "Oh," said the noodlehead, "my mother says the smallest people are the ones who use the fewest words. Don't worry, you don't have to say a thing. Just give me the money, and I'll be on my way." The rock didn't answer. The boy was beginning to get angry. Now he raised his voice a bit. "Now, town, you listen to me. You ate the butter, so I must have my money." When the rock still didn't answer, the boy began to kick and shove until suddenly the rock rolled over, and in a big hole under the rock, there sat a big pot filled with gold. Being a noodlehead, the boy didn't realize his good luck. He thought to himself, he said, "Thank you, town, and I knew you would pay me for the butter." And from that day on, him and his mother lived in comfort for the rest of their lives. A few years later, that rock became an actor.
I don't know if you caught that a little aside that he added to his story, The Rock became an actor, as in The Rock. Nicely done, Kian. He is a comedian after all. Great job. Our next storyteller is a 5th grade student with me for her first year. We always practice our stories in class, and the very first time Jillian told her story, I was so surprised. She had it ready to go. She displayed wonderful enthusiasm as she told the story and added a funny, modern cultural reference to the tale. Listen closely to see if you can spot it as she shares her story. Please welcome Jillian Flanagan sharing a folktale from Cambodia.
Hi, my name is Jillian, and I will be telling the story of the ghost that entered the jar. Many years ago, there lived a ghost in a village. He was always in search of food. One day, he came across a farmer's wife. He became to like very greatly. One day, he decided to turn into the wife's husband. They were practically identical. Later that day, when the farmer got home from his farm work, he noticed the ghost in the farmer's bed. He dashed towards the bed and said, "What are you doing in my house?" The ghost said, "I don't know why you come here in such a temper. Tell me what you want." The farmer said, "This is my house, my wife." The ghost said, "No, this is mine." Then the farmer said, "I will call on my wife to see what she says." When the wife walks in, she was as confused as the farmer was. She said, "What is going on here?" The farmer says, "I am not sure." So the farmer says, "How about we find a judge on Yelp?" So they went on the phone and found a 4.9 rated judge, and they said that will do. So later that day when they went over to the courthouse, they entered fighting about who is the real farmer. The judge said, "What is going on here?" The farmer says, "He was in my bed when I got home from the farm work, and he says that he owns the house and that he is me." Then the ghost says, "That is wrong." And then they start bickering on who's who. Then the judge says, "Go get to your places." So they walk on over to their places, and the farmer explains what the farmer saw. Then the ghost explains what he saw. Then the judge says, "I have an idea." She grabs a jar from the back and puts it on the ground. And she says, "Whoever can fit into this jar is the true husband." So the ghost knew that he could do it. But the farmer was very sad because he knew he could not do anything about it. So the ghost went small as an ant and climbed right up into the jar, and then the judge quickly grabbed a cover from the back and put it on the jar and said, "This is a ghost. That is the true husband." The farmer was very happy and the wife was also very happy. The end.
Thank you, Jillian. So did you hear that reference, that Yelp is a 4.5 stars? I really loved that the first time she did that in class. Nicely done. Our next storyteller taking the stage. Now, let me just hold on 1 second. She's a 4th grade student. Lucy is a quiet young lady in class, but she is always ready to participate and learn. One week she was absent, she was out sick, and when she came into class the next week, she immediately came right up to me and asked, "Did I miss anything?" I love her commitment to the program. Please welcome Lucy Hernandez sharing a folktale from the United States.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'll be telling the story of the big wide-mouthed frog. There once was a big wide-mouthed frog who lived in a small pond. One day he got a brilliant idea to go to the zoo. He went to the zoo and asked a lot of animals what they liked for breakfast. What they ate for breakfast, whatever. The frog first met a giraffe. He had to yell up to him since the giraffe was very big and he was very small. The giraffe yelled up, "I'm the big wide-mouthed frog. I eat flies for breakfast. What do you eat?" And the giraffe replied, "I'm a giraffe, of course. I eat plants for breakfast." The frog hopped along and met an elephant. It was still bigger than he was, but not by much. Or by a lot, whatever. He asked the elephant what he ate for breakfast, and the elephant said, "I am an elephant, of course. I eat plants for breakfast." The frog wanted to find an animal that didn't eat plants for breakfast. So the frog hopped along a long time, and he went up to the crocodile. I'm the big wide-mouthed frog, he said to the crocodile. I eat flies for breakfast. What do you? The crocodile replied with a sly look on his face. I'm a crocodile, of course. I eat big wide-mouthed frogs for breakfast. The frog looked startled, and he hopped as fast as he could to his pond. He hopped past the elephant and past the giraffe, and they both chuckled. And then he wished he had kept his big wide mouth shut.
Wonderful, wonderful, Lucy. Thank you so much. Our next storyteller is a 5th grade teller. And last year, he applied for the program, but unfortunately, it was too late. We had a wait list, and so I made sure to keep his name handy and reached out at the beginning of the year, hoping he would still be interested, and he was. So I'm delighted he's finally here. He adds humor and excitement to this Greek Aesop fable. Please welcome Ryder Sawyer.
I hope you like gold, because I'm Ryder Sawyer, and I'm going to tell you the story of King Midas and the Golden Touch. There once was a king named Midas. Midas was very, very rich, even richer than Elon Musk himself. And then, one day, he was in his room counting his gold, but then a beautiful fairy boy appeared. And the fairy boy said, Midas, you have more gold than any king in the world. Midas, you have more gold than any king in the world, he said for a second time. And then King Midas says, that is true, but I do wish for more gold. Then the fairy boy said, if I could grant you one wish, would it really be for more gold? Yes, I will take that. Okay, hold on. Okay, and then the fairy boy said, okay, your wish will be granted at sunrise, but I warn you, this gift will not make you happy. Wait, hold on. King Midas said, I'll take that risk. And then he woke up the next morning, touched the bed lightly to see if the fairy's gift had come true. And then it did. It turned to gold. He began touching everything, turning it all into gold. But then he felt hungry, so he went downstairs. And then he tried to eat some chicken, but he bit gold. He almost lost one of his teeth that day. And then he tried to drink water, but nothing could surpass his lips. And then Marigold came running from the garden, his daughter, and then he touched her on the cheek lightly, and then she turned to gold. And then he ran back up to the gold room and begged the fairy, and then the fairy boy appeared again. Oh, please, take my land, take my gold, take everything, only give me back my daughter. And then the fairy boy said, true. And then the fairy boy said, you no longer desire the golden touch? And then he said, yes, I hate the sight of that yellow stuff. And then he said, okay, here, take this bag of dirt and put it in your fountain.
I think the wall on anything you turn off will turn back to you. So of course he did that. And he sprinkled down Marigold first, Marigold giving him a big kiss on the cheek. And then he began sprinkling everything. And then he had a great feast. The moral of the story is that if you're greedy, you might lose someone you love.
See how magical storytelling is? That fairy came right out of nowhere. Wonderful writer, thank you, thank you. Our next teller is returning for his second year. A mature young man, it is such a pleasure to always have him in class. He has a quiet personality, but he is always willing to listen and to take suggestions to make his story better. Please welcome Jacob Best as he shares a tale from the United States.
Hello, my name is Jacob Best, and today I'll be telling you the story of the gorilla that escaped. One day, Sarah went to the zoo with her family. Just as they were about to leave, they heard loud sirens. Soon, an announcement came on the loudspeaker. It said, "This is a warning. The gorilla has escaped from his cage. Everyone stay calm." In a second, everything went crazy. Little children were crying, and even the adults didn't seem to know what to do. But in the middle of all the confusion, Sarah got separated from her family. She tried shouting their names, but they couldn't hear her over all the screaming. Then she remembered that her mother said to meet at the exit if she got lost. So she began to make her way towards the exit, when a group of people running in the other direction practically knocked her over. When they passed, Sarah saw what they were running from. It was the gorilla. He was big. He was hairy. He was ferocious. And he was heading right towards her. Sarah began to run for her life, but that only seemed to make the gorilla angrier. He howled and yowled as he scrambled to catch up. Sarah could hear the pounding of his footsteps behind her. She could feel his hot breath on her neck. And then, out of the corner of her eye, Sarah saw a shadow of the gorilla's paw reaching out towards her. She was sure it was all over. Then, the gorilla tapped her on the shoulder and shouted, "Tag! You're it!"
Wonderful, Jacob. That's what we call a shaggy dog story. Really wonderful, Jacob. Best telling it. Thank you. Our next performer is a soft-spoken young lady in class. So she completely surprised me during her first school performance. She took the stage with confidence and nailed her performance. She has blossomed into a wonderful storyteller who tells her story with an easy elegance. Please welcome Samantha Penalt sharing a folktale from Ireland.
I'm Samantha Penalt, and I will be telling the story One Wish. Long ago, a man's wife lived on a small farm in County Mayo. The young man lived with his parents, and the mother had been totally blind for 10 years. He tried to keep food on the table for his family, and one day starvation came to the door. He knew the only place where game could be hunted, the landlord's estate. He grabbed the only weapon he had, an old hatchet, and crept over the concrete wall. He roamed all day searching for something to kill.
And as evening fell, he cornered a beautiful white deer. The deer spoke. "Spare me," it said. The man nearly collapsed on the spot with fright. The deer continued speaking. "If you kill me, you'll be hanged. If you make a wish, it can change you and your family's lives." The man walked home and thought over what the deer said. The first person he met was his father, and he told his father what the deer said. His father said, "Wish for gold. Gold will solve all our problems." The young man thought over his father's answer and thought he should discuss it over with his mother as well. His mother said, "Wish for my eyesight to be restored. That is way more precious than gold." He thought he should discuss it over with his wife as well. "Husband, I love your mother and your father too, but for 5 years now we have been wishing for a child of our own. Surely that is the most precious wish of all." The young man didn't know what to do, unable to sleep. He tossed and turned all night long. When it was morning, he went back to the landlord's estate. The deer said, "Are you ready for me to grant your wish?" "Yes, I am. Say your wish and I shall grant it." "I wish for my mother to see my wife rocking our beautiful child in a golden cradle." The end.
And that was one clever young man. Thank you so much. I particularly love that story because it's from County Mayo in Ireland, which is where my grandparents came from. Nicely done, Samantha. Thank you. Closing out our festival tonight are 2 fourth-grade storytellers. Aria is soft-spoken with a gentle spirit, and I've had the great pleasure of watching her confidence grow this year. Shania is always bursting with energy whenever she takes the stage. They complement each other beautifully. Please welcome Aria Pereira and Shania Picard as they share a folktale from Peru.
Hello, I'm Shania Picard. And I'm Aria Pereira. And we're going to be telling the story of Fox and Mole. Once Fox and Mole were neighbors. Each lived in their own snug little cave at the foot of a rocky hill. Although they're quite different, they did get along pretty happily.
Fox liked to roam about looking for adventure, while Mole stayed close to home, digging up tasty worms.
One night while Fox was looking up high at the sky, he got the greatest idea. "I want to go to the moon, Mole!"
The moon? Did you say the moon?
"Yes, and you may come with me," said Fox.
But I'm not sure I wish to go to the moon, said Mole.
"Did I mention the moon is full of tasty worms?"
Mole's stomach growled at the mention of worms. "I'd love to come with you, Fox, but how will we get there?"
"I wish I knew, but I'll think of something. Don't worry."
It was only a few days later, as Fox was tying up a bundle of sticks for firewood, that an idea came to him. He looked carefully at the rope he was using.
"I know how to get to the moon. It's simple. We'll get Condor to tie this rope to the tip of the moon, then we can easily climb up."
Fox ran off to ask Condor's help. She agreed immediately.
Fox and Mole both thanked Condor. Fox and Mole both thanked Condor. The next day, Fox tied the rope together. And in the evening, Condor flew to Mole and Fox.
"Good day, Fox."
"Good day, Mole."
"You say you want me to slip this rope over the tip of the moon? It'll take a while."
"Yes." Condor picked up the rope in her beak and flew up, and higher, and then soared back down to them.
"The rope is tied tightly, but I'll fly along with you until you are safely there."
Fox and Mole both thanked Condor. "I'll go first, so that way I can warn you if there's any danger." Fox knew Mole was more timid than he was.
Good, but I'm beginning to wonder if the worms on the moon are as good as the ones here, said Mole.
Don't worry, they'll taste much better, said Fox.
Up went Fox, paw over paw. Behind him came Mole, claw over claw. Soon they were above the treetops.
Fox looked only towards the moon, while Mole looked down over the cliff where they lived. They were so high.
Suddenly, Mole's paws began to slip. Soon he was tumbling head over paw through the air, down, down, down.
Hunter was prepared for this. She swooped beneath Mole and caught him on her back and flew him till he was safely home.
When Cat heard how foolish Mo was, she giggled. Squirrel chuckled, and Cat... And Cat even tumbled over with laughter.
Till this day, Mole does not come under his hole till all the other animals are asleep.
What happened to Fox? It is said that on a clear night, you could see Fox standing at the top of the moon looking down at the earth.
And when the new moon appears, you can still see a bit of rope dangling from it that Fox and Mole once climbed on.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. I don't know if you could see it in the audience from where you are, but the girls are wearing matching shirts and it's all the phases of the moon. So they went out shopping specifically. Thank you, Aria and Shania. Lovely job. Now, if you storytellers would please stand up for a moment and face your audience and take a final bow. Great. Now we're going to do some awards for all of the students. So get your camera ready. They'll be coming up in order of appearance. And what they all will be receiving is what I designed as an applause award. So, applause. It's an acronym I made, and it says that they are extraordinary storytellers. And A is for audience, make eye contact, right? That's what we talk about. P, pacing, not too fast, not too slow, just right. P, pronunciation, say your words clearly. L, love your story. A, avoid distractions, because we love that distraction game, don't we, that we play. U, use the right tone of voice for your characters. S, smile, and E for expression. And I think they've all achieved that tonight. So first up for his applause award is Rocco Aponte. Thank you. Next is Delaney Gogan. Amelia Brick. Nadia Inc. Aubrey Venuti. Althea Vogel. Aubrey Sawyer. Alexis Allen. Sienna Johnson. And the fairy princess. Jacob Alexander. Landon Pereira. Kean O'Connor. Jillian Flanagan. Lucy Hernandez. Ryder Sawyer. Jacob Best. Samantha Pinal. Take your time, Mom.
It's her, not me.
Aria Pereira. Shania Picard. Wonderful, wonderful Shania. Oh, what's going on here, boys? No, you're too much. Oh, you are wonderful. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my wonderful husband over there who's backstage with the kids, making sure they're, he does all this jazz for me, so thank you so much. And most of all, thank you to you, all of you parents, for allowing me the pleasure of working with your children. It's my honor. Thank you for attending tonight, and thank you, students. I'm going to miss those of you who are moving on to the middle school, and those who will be here next year, I hope you'll come back. Good night, all. Feel free to take pictures of the children on stage if you like.